everybody out there. Sam Dennehy, aka Halfass Custom. So this episode is going to be a little different. It was supposed to be a two-parter because of internet connections, but the second part, I don't know when it's coming, and I tried to put the first part and the second part in the same video. It looks like we're just going to have to make two completely separate interview videos with this guest. So it's supposed to be a longer episode, but internet connections, it didn't work. Anyways, also with that, because of the internet connections, you'll see or you'll hear in the video that we tried like 2 or 3 times to get this working for you all to see it and listen to it. And by the end of it, we just gave up and said we'll do it again later. So hopefully you'll find it reasonably listenable and viewable, watchable. And hopefully you guys will like it enough to, at least hold you on to the next episode next week. So without further ado, let's get to this video. Hey everybody out there, Sam Dennehy, another episode of Halfass Presents the Podcast. I've got these new earbuds in. These Bud Live Samsung ones. I'm not gonna lie, I got them at a deal because I'm already a Samsung phone guy anyways. So that's why I'm using them. So I'm hoping they work. I'm hoping you can hear me. So I guess we'll test that out in this episode. But regardless, today's special guest is Jaykob B. Stevens or Steffens. I think it's Stevens. Once he gets on, I'll double check with him. He's been a modeler in the 187 scale for a good little while now. And I asked him a while ago if he wanted to come on. And he seems to build some pretty nice stuff. So, I think it's going to be an interesting episode. See what he's all about, what makes him keep building, and what he loves about this hobby. So I guess without further ado, stay tuned. He'll be right in. Looks like it's recording. Hey, everybody out there, this is Sam Dennehy, aka Halfass Customs, and this is Halfass Presents the Podcast. Today's special guest is, like I said in the opening monologue, Jaykob B. Stevens?
Yes, sir.
Stevens.
Yes, sir.
All right, Jaykob? I can't even talk. Jaykob, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in this hobby?
Well, I'm 20 years old. I'm a good old country boy from East Tennessee. I've been around trucks and equipment, that kind of thing, my whole life. Growing up, my dad was always really interested in trains, so I spent a lot of time by the railroad tracks, taking pictures and watching trains go by. And we always threatened to build a layout here at the house, but we never really got around to it. But I started collecting 187 scale trucks just because they were more detailed than what I could find at Walmart, in the Matchbox aisle or the Hot Wheels aisle, and that kind of thing. But I had a pretty small collection going on, but it didn't look like we were ever going to get around to building a layout, so I went ahead and sold them. But as luck would have it, when I started my university career, I ended up at East Tennessee State University, and they have a place on campus called the George L. Carter Railroad Museum. And I had no idea that it even existed, but Dad came up to watch a football game with me last fall, and we went down on a Saturday and checked it out. And long story short, I became a member, and that is what got me back into the hobby. And from there, I've sort of I resumed collecting as it was, but I also started building some more custom projects and things of that nature. But that's how I sort of got in, got out, and back again. Hopefully this time to stay.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, as long as you're back into it, it's better than falling out of it and then just everything kind of gets shoved into a drawer or into like a closet and you forget about it for the
Right.
next 10 years and while you live your life. So at least you're back into it. That's the important thing. Um, so you said you like construction vehicles
Yes, sir.
mostly. What about the construction vehicles do you like more than say passenger vehicles? I mean, everybody knows I'm a passenger vehicle guy,
Right.
but
Right.
what is it about construction vehicles? Because I know half the people or three-quarters of the people I talk to, they like it because that's the business they're in. That's what they grew up doing. That's what their family life was all about. So
Right.
that's what they love. Is that the case with you, or?
Well, yes and no, and I wouldn't say that I don't have an interest in passenger vehicles. It's just sort of on the back burner. Growing up, my dad had 55 Chevys, that kind of thing.
Oh,
I
nice.
drive a '78 Chevy, so we've got some old cars in there too.
A
Um,
Caprice, 78
no,
Caprice. Oh, or pickup.
it's a pickup. We do have a
Oh,
Caprice, but
that's cool.
it's one of the later models. It's a B model, but
That's cool though, man. You got a 78 pickup. That's awesome. Good
right.
for you.
But growing up, my cousin has an excavating company. And starting when I was about 16 years old, I worked in during the summers and I was in high school operating for him and doing that kind of thing. And that's, I guess, just spending, years and years around that kind of thing is what vested my interest in it. But I actually work part time right now because I'm a remote college student because of COVID. I actually get to work as a part time equipment operator. And some people may ask, how could you have a position like an operator and be part time? But I work for a farm, and the gentleman that owns a bunch of land has his own equipment because he figured out it was cheaper to go to an auction and buy his own equipment and hire somebody to run it than it would be to hire a company. So I get to work on
True.
weekends and when I have days off and things of that nature. But that's just sort of that's how I leaned more toward trucks and equipment. A lot of folks in my family have driven trucks. I've driven dump trucks, that kind of thing. Never been over the road, of course, but that's what got me into the trucks and equipment part of it. I would say it's just being around.
Interesting. That's a good answer, really, because I mean, I've never been around that stuff, but I've always been a car guy in general, so I guess that's why I lean towards cars, and that would make sense why you lean towards mostly or more, equipment vehicles and
Right.
whatnot. So you said some people would wonder how you get a position as an operator. I'm guessing that's the person that drives the big equipment vehicles,
Yes,
because I
sir.
don't know.
Well, I started out the first thing that I ran was a skid steer, one of the little machines that has tracks, that you can use doing landscaping
Oh,
work and things of
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
nature. And as the need arose, I got to step up through the ranks. I ran a road roller for a while. I eventually got
What is
upgraded
that
to
for the people that don't know, like me?
well, let's see. What we were doing at that time is we were building a foundation for a jail. It was going to be a huge complex. And where we were at, it was sort of a valley. So we were actually having to build the dirt up for the foundation. Um, and because of the way that the engineering codes and stuff work, the soil has to be so tight before you can build on it. So what we would do is we would bring dirt in, dump it out, a bulldozer would blade it, and then what I was doing is there's a machine called a roller that has a big drum on the front with spikes in it,
Oh, like a
and it rolls.
steamroller,
Yeah, basically a
but
steamroller.
for
Exactly.
dirt.
Exactly. The
Oh,
ones for
okay.
pavement are smooth, but the ones for dirt compaction, they have what they call
Like teeth.
pad feet on them. Yes, and
Okay, yeah,
you
I've seen those. Okay.
just roll back and forth until it tightens up, and then you're good to
I
go.
never knew that's what that was called.
Yep.
Interesting. Makes sense though.
I
That's cool.
worked for my cousin for a while, and I then found a job working for a gentleman, like I said, who owns his own land, and he's got a bulldozer, a loader, and then he's actually got an excavator, which is my personal favorite to run, just because it's something that I'd always wanted to do, but never really got the chance to. But that's what I do these days.
That's cool, man. And and the neat thing is, like you said, you're back into the hobby, so now you can take the love that you have for, the one size vehicles and transfer it into like the hobby. So you can have
Absolutely.
yourself a whole entire construction fleet
Yep.
eventually on maybe soon or later on down the road a layout of some kind.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
you're in Tennessee.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
you ever think about building a module like something like back here where you can just start setting everything on? Maybe just have like a building that's like the main office and then just your fleet of vehicles that you've collected or anything in the future? You ever think of that?
I have thought about that. That is a good idea. I haven't really given much thought to it these days just because I am part of a model train club right now. Um, but yeah,
Or how
definitely in the
about a train
future.
module? Is it a train module club or is it like where they're just set up and they stay there?
Technically, it is a modular club, but we're sort of in a what I would call a semi-permanent home right now. Um, the layout can be taken down and moved to shows, but as far as I know, we haven't done that in years. And I don't really. I think they've added some parts onto it that would have to be like torn down, so it may be such that used to they could move it, but they can't anymore. But um, yeah,
Because I think, if you don't build like a Route 187 scale one like this, you could probably transfer whatever that would go on something like this onto a train module.
that's
Because I
true.
was even thinking about that too.
That's true.
There's a, a switching and sipping or sipping and switching club out here in
Mhm.
North Carolina, and their dimensions for their railroad would work perfect for this
Really.
Route 187. And I thought just combine them two, and that way I don't have to just go to like a 187 scale or RPM meet. I can go to an actual train show with the
Oh
club
yeah,
and have
absolutely.
all of this transferred onto, one of their modules or something.
Absolutely. And if you had, you could build a Route 187 module, and if you just put the train tracks sort of in the background, then, trains could run through and you could display that, but you
Right.
could still show off your
Well,
vehicles
the
and
neat
buildings
thing
and
is,
stuff too.
I think the smallest um, modules they have, I think are like 5 feet by 2 feet or something. So they're quite long.
I
But the
got you.
neat thing is the track, I don't know if you can really see up here, but the track sits about here. So
Okay.
about
I
a
got you.
quarter, a full quarter into the module dimension. So our street sits up closer, obviously, and
Hmm.
I thought just wind that track inwards, put the street outwards, have like a crossing,
Well, you
and then
could.
that way
Yeah.
the train's running closer to the edge so people could see it better. And then once it gets to the end, curve back in, and then have the
Right.
road come back out, and then it
Absolutely.
all would work together. Is what
That
I
would be
was
neat, especially
thinking.
if everyone else's modules just ran straight through and yours had those curves in it. That would add some nice variety.
You kind of blanked out. I don't know.
Testing,
Oh,
testing.
yeah, I hear you now.
Is that on my end or yours? Can't tell.
Well, the
Probably
screen paused
mine.
on my end. Did the screen pause on your end? You
Yes,
froze
I
for a
lost you
second.
for a second.
Oh, okay. I don't know where it came from then.
Who
Maybe
knows?
me or maybe you. I don't know.
Who knows? It's just this day and age, part of it.
But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Now, that's so future wise because I'm not in that club and
Right?
I don't plan on building one of those. I want them to build a module and then me to decorate the module. That's what I want
That
them
would
to do.
work.
And I don't know that they'll do that. So
Right? You never know.
if they don't want to do that, I may never join that club. I don't know.
Right? Oh,
But that's cool that you were collecting that stuff to begin with because I only started getting into this scale because I got burnt out of Hot Wheels and I got kind of burnt out of the 125th scale world.
hmm.
And I thought, let me see if there's anybody doing what I do in this scale. And since there wasn't, I figured, oh, I've got the market covered.
Absolutely.
Um, but you were, when did you start collecting, do you think? Was it like teenage years or was it like when you
Well,
were really?
let's see. Most of the old pictures that I have of my former collection were taken around 2014 or so. So I would have been, 13, 14 years old, and I sort of collected. But since we didn't have a layout, everything mostly stayed in this box because I really at that time didn't know what to do with it. And that's part of
Right,
what
right.
motivated me to sell. Is I thought, I mean, crap, I'm not using any of this stuff. Just moving on down the line. Um, but I got back into the hobby. My freshman year of university was the fall of 2019, so I'm coming up on my second year of being what I would call back. But
That's cool though, man. I mean, at least you're in it, really, because there's not enough. I can't even talk today. There's not enough young people in this hobby.
right,
By far, there's not enough.
yeah,
And then the few that there are, I strongly, firmly believe when the middle-aged to upper-age people that are in this hobby end up drifting away, the young people that are in it aren't going to be enough to sustain this hobby.
that's true. I
In
can see that.
Europe is a different story, but America, I don't think it will. But
Yeah,
I could be wrong, and hopefully I am wrong. But it just, I think this technology world with cell phones and video games getting better and better, I think is deterring a lot of young people away
absolutely.
from it.
And unfortunately, look at what companies are doing too. Because if it was such that, part of the reason that the model train hobby is growing is you have new innovations in sound and
Right.
DCC. But what
And that's
I've been
come
seeing,
up with in the last like 10 years that it jumped,
right,
you
right.
know?
But what I've been seeing in the last few years in the model vehicle community is, companies like Herpa and Promotex and all them, they're slimming down their catalog. I mean, look at River Point Station. They just sold their entire in-scale lineup to Atlas. I mean, so to me,
Right.
that's what concerns me the most about the 187th vehicle community. It's just that it doesn't seem like a lot of companies are putting in the effort to get new products out and new stuff to keep people coming back for more, really.
Yeah, you kind of froze up there again. Oh,
Crikey.
I'm not sure what you said just for the last 5 seconds, but
I
yeah, I mean, it kind of it does suck, but at the same time, with the invention of like 3D printing and everybody being able to afford their own, for the most part, because it's getting cheaper and cheaper, um, the hobby can definitely still grow that way. I think it may not sustain big companies because pretty soon you'll be able to print, electronical parts, and then all you need is wires. So like fine tooth electrical companies will probably stay, and big box companies may dwindle because you'll be able to
right.
print the whole entire train. You'll be able to print your own track. You'll be able to print anything and everything, and people will
Hmm.
start doing that and not need to rely on, big box companies that are producing this stuff
Right.
now.
Let me try
Um,
one thing. You may lose me for just a second. I'm going to switch
that's
my
fine.
internet connection, so it may take just a
That's
second.
fine. I'll just keep talking so it's not dead air, but
Okay,
yeah,
testing,
it's
testing. Did I ever cut
yeah.
out fully?
No, you didn't.
Okay, good. Well, I'm on a
That's
different
pretty
network
good
now.
that it switched that quick.
Let's see if that's any better.
All right,
But
cool.
yeah, I agree with you. I've been impressed. The only downside that I've seen with 3D printing is the cost is a little bit prohibitive right now, just because in order for 187 scale, in order to get a good print, I've seen some of your posts and other gentlemen out there. You have to get the really high grade plastic, and that can jump the cost up. But as the material cost comes down, the technology is already ready to go in that regard.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't do I have any? They're sitting in a display case. Joseph Blivens got a three, four, three, 3K, 2K. I think it's 3K resin printer, and we
Wow.
were, believe it or not, able to print 187th scale spoked wheels, meaning like 14-inch spokes, where they literally each spoke was individual.
Wow.
And it was unbelievable to me
That's
because
incredible.
no company and nobody's ever been able to do that yet. He was able to do that. And he said, "You think that's good? Just wait till the 4K comes out, and then it'll be crisp and clear, and it'll be amazing." And I guess that's on the way. I don't really keep up on printers and where they're at. I didn't even know which exact one he had until he told me. But yeah, think about a 14 or 15-inch, passenger vehicle wheel to have 70 spokes, individual spokes that aren't photo etched or anything in it, and that are
Crazy.
visible. That just doesn't make sense. So if that can be done pretty soon, the detail is just going to be unbelievable, and you won't need to be literally buying anything. You'll just be buying the resin or the plastic or whatever,
Oh,
that printer needs to make that design. But where do you see yourself, I guess, building in the near future? Like, are you going to start building like more custom build, or do you kind of just maybe because of your schedule or whatever, your work in school, maybe just collecting more?
well, it's sort of right now I have sort of a hybrid. Um, I probably do about one or two builds, what I would say builds a month, and collect in between. That's going to slow down once my university is planning to go back to on-campus instruction next fall, so there'll be a slowdown period there. Um, but I would like to think that over my Christmas breaks and summer breaks and whatnot, that I could still get some building done and collect ideas and materials in the meantime. I would say would be my plan.
That's cool. I mean, in your building skills of how many you're doing a month is pretty average too, because uh, I talk to a lot of people, obviously, and they all say, "Well, I'm not nearly as fast as you," and it doesn't really matter how fast you are, just the fact that you're doing it. And if you can get two done a month, that's faster than at least half of the builders that are out here.
Oh,
And that's
absolutely.
I kind of have these like I didn't do it any time last year, but the before year before that, I had these build offs that are a month long just to see if people want to do it and then want to maybe step up their game just
Right.
another notch higher,
Hmm.
just to see if they can get it done, because a lot of people, a month is not long enough. So I always keep it as a month just to see, can you get done in a month?
Right. Yep.
Will that be enough time? And people, there's enough people that step up and they get it done, and it's pretty cool because I literally talk to a lot of people, and a month is not long enough just for one vehicle.
Right. Well,
So that's
luckily
good that you build two,
right.
or for the most part.
I'm still in the phase where most of my builds can be done in an afternoon or two, simply because I've only done a few just complete scratch customs. But as I like you said, up the ante a little bit, that'll stretch out. But fortunately, I sort of I can multitask enough that I can normally about 1 or 2 days is all I need. But
That's
it just
awesome. I
depends.
mean, you even if you do mild or wild, and when I mean mild customs are like wheel swaps and maybe like a so paint job, you
Right.
know, because that's kind of the basic. So that would be like a mild custom. Even a mild custom seems to hinder a lot of people from even wanting to attempt a custom. So
Right.
good for you for at least jumping in and doing it, and then actually liking it enough to keep doing it. Because we need more people customizing vehicles,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
even if they're just mild.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
There you go.
where where do you see your custom builds going? Like, do you have a certain kind of fleet that you're trying to create, or like say your own brand in the future? Or do you want to copy something like Mike Budd did a whole entire fleet of telephone company vehicles, that telephone he used to work for?
Right.
Do you see that you're gonna copy like a John Deere type custom fleet, or your own brand of custom fleet vehicles?
That may be in the future. What I'm working on right now is I've got sort of what I would call a small excavating company. I don't really have many of the heavy construction pieces, cranes, that kind of thing, but I have like excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, things to move dirt with. And my plan would eventually be if we ever build a layout here at my house, or if when I go back to school, load them up in the tote and take them with me. Um, I've been known to put construction equipment out on the club's layout if they're working on a piece of track or something, to make it look like
Nice.
construction's going on. But I've got some
Right,
pictures
that's
I'll show
cool.
here in a few minutes. I've got a service truck, um, just basically what a company would need to move earth and keep the equipment maintained in the field.
That's cool. I'm waiting for the person to ask me to collab with them, which probably will never happen. So I can custom paint these metal flake candy paint jobs on all their commercial vehicles, and they can have
Right
a
on.
show-winning fleet that'll never see the light of dirt ever
Oh yeah,
because they'll just go from
absolutely. Yeah,
show to
paid
show
for
to
Christmas.
show. It'll
Oh
be
yeah.
like chrome tank tracks or whatever that'll never be it'll be driven on carpet only for its whole
Right.
life with big old chrome cranes and whatnot. Yeah, it'll never see dirt. They'll
That's
never
right.
ask me to do that, and that's why it'll never happen. But if somebody's crazy enough, I'll be up to it.
Right. You know what they say, Chrome gets you home, right?
It definitely has the possibility.
Right.
It definitely,
There
yeah,
you
you
go.
don't want to get it dirty if you have something that nice and pretty. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I was talking to Ryan Kelly, and yeah, Ryan Kelly. Oh, he was another young guy too, because he's young. Um, the crane guy, and I was telling him the only way I'd build a crane is to do it like a ridiculous metal flake candy painted show crane
Why not?
that'll
You know,
just
just
be it.
something
It
different.
it'll be different, and I think everybody will hate me for it because I'll be ruining the integrity and the. I'll probably devalue the whole thing, but it'll be different. And that's what I
Right.
am going for.
It didn't take me long to learn, and I will preface this by saying, a lot of hobbies have a lot of negativity, and that's one thing that I really enjoy about this community is even as a new builder, everyone has been super welcoming, and has been super awesome. But I did have to learn early on that it's good to keep some models for preservation's sake and for keeping them as collector pieces, but you know honestly, there's some that you just gotta customize. You gotta build, and
That is so
there'll always
funny
be
you
more.
mentioned that. I took this Mustang. It's a fastback 1968 Mustang, and I turned it
Right
into like a
on.
10 block kind of drift car
Mm-hmm.
with two turbos sticking out of the hood and then a
Right on.
crazy intake. This
Right.
is
Ground
a
effects.
super rare car. It's like a pot metal car, like an Allied Form car or something, but it's
Yeah.
not made by them. But Mike Budd asked me about it, and then I think somebody else asked me, like, "Is that this kind of car?" And I said, "Yes, it sure is." And they go, "That thing is super rare. They don't make it anymore, and you can't find them anywhere."
Right.
And I have an extra one, completely untouched.
Oh wow, that is
So I
awesome.
thought, why not do that to this?
Why
I
not?
don't like Mustangs. Out of all the classic cars out there, I really don't like Mustangs. So I thought, why not make my own version of this crazy Mustang and make it look better than it'll ever look in its life?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people probably didn't approve of me doing that to that car, but
Right.
hey,
Well, I mean, it all comes down to it's a personal call. I mean, if you chop it into a convertible or made it into a rat rod. I mean, I guess it depends on everybody's taste what they call improving a model or devaluing. I
very
mean, for
true.
me, I think that would be an awesome upgrade to that Mustang, just because, like you said, nobody does that to that model. So to see that and say,
Right.
wow, that started as this, look at how much work went into it.
And the model itself, like the whole car, it's basically a two-piece car. It's got the chassis and interior as one, and then the body as the second piece. You have to excuse me. These things are hurting
No
my
worries.
ears like you wouldn't believe. And I'm trying to figure out how to put it back in my ear because I already forgot. Oh, there we go. I got it. It's such a weird earpiece thing.
Right, right.
Anyways, yeah, if you were to build that car stock, it just wouldn't look good. The casting of it wasn't a good casting for a really authentic looking, even if you built it like 100% stock right from the factory, just it wasn't a good casting to make that car look good. And
Right.
so I already made it look better, but at the same time, I didn't put it to stock.
Right.
And,
Yeah. Well, if
a lot of,
everybody built to please other people, then nobody would really
right.
build what they want. Because my attitude is, if I paid for it and it's mine, then what
Yeah,
what's
right.
anyone else?
It's funny. I got two of these panel vans.
Yeah.
They're hollow on the inside,
Hmm.
and it's just a solid piece of plastic body,
Right.
and they're very, very rare. And I was thinking about custom painting these, and I was told by a bunch of people, just leave it because it's worth so much money just sitting like this.
What about that?
And I just been letting it sit because I really don't want to paint it, but at the same
That's true.
time, that's the only way to make that thing look good.
Right.
And
Would it
I
be
don't know.
possible to make a casting of it? You know, like a resin
Oh
casting,
no,
a
it's yeah,
reproduction?
because it's all hollow, it's definitely a lot easier to do that. I just don't even want to put the
Absolutely.
work into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Park it in the back row.
Yeah, in the very
Yeah.
back. Like
Yeah. There you go.
but yeah, I mean I feel you. The customizing world, the beauty is in the beholder of the eye, whatever that saying is. God, I'm like really off my
The eye of
game
the
today.
beholder. Yeah. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, and compared to what I build, lowriders, hot rods, rat rods, and customs, I mean, that is definitely not what most people in this
No,
hobby,
not at all.
our 187 scale hobby, is
Not
into.
at all.
So talk about they still welcome me.
Yeah, absolutely.
you know?
It's so awesome to see because, like you said, it's a niche market. So to see somebody, if I go to a layout, I don't want to see 100 of the same mini metals, cars, and trucks. I want to see
Yeah,
something that somebody put their time and effort into.
right,
So
right.
that is awesome.
That's cool that you say that too, because let me tell you, when I was at the Springfield show, the Amherst show in Massachusetts, beginning of last year before COVID hit, I was the only one that had something different. And I'm not trying to
That is
knock
awesome.
all you people that might be listening that have everything the same, but it's even like the passenger vehicles. Before the 3D printing came out, there was only so many passenger vehicles that you could find, and
Yep.
everybody had all the same ones. So I can't knock everybody for having the same thing, but I'm not a commercial truck vehicle kind of guy or commercial vehicle kind of guy. So to me, in my head, they all look the same anyways. You could
Right.
have every single RPS truck ever made, but they're all the same truck and they all look exactly the same. You didn't do anything that different that anybody else didn't do already as well. So same as a diesel truck. Say you got whatever company makes diesel trucks, they all look the same. Even if you put photo etch mirrors on them and windshield wipers and grills, it's still a diesel truck. You
Right.
gotta. In my head, I see the potential to completely change the look of something to make it better that way. When a lot of people will look at, a $20 diesel truck and they're like, new wheels, mirrors, grills, all the details, all the decals. I'm gonna make this truck look way better than it does now. And to me, I'm gonna be like, that looks exactly the same way as it did when you got it.
Right.
But they'll see all the stuff they did. I won't see it because it doesn't look different. That's the
Right.
only way my brain sees customization, is if it completely transforms the way that car looks to be better. But I'm not knocking those guys, because you still have to, if you want it to look better, you still have to put the work in and get all that photo etch stuff, get those decals, get the paint job right, get the right wheels and all that stuff, and then weather it or don't weather it or whatever. So it's still customized. It just, to me, all still looks the same.
Right.
But to the untrained person, everything I build all looks the same too. So you can only have so
True.
many
Different
candy.
different walks of life.
Yeah, I mean, all my
Absolutely.
candy lowriders, they all look the same, even though they're all different, but they all look the same to somebody that doesn't know lowriders or whatever.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I get it. It's like you said, all different walks of life. Um, so what is your favorite kind of 187 scale vehicle? I mean, to take it away from construction vehicles, just like, what is like your favorite of all time that you could see yourself collecting more of or wanting to customize more of?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll bring up the screen share here and see if I can find the right picture. Let's see. When I first started driving trucks, the first truck I drove was a Ford, an L series Ford is what they were called, and they were built from around the early 70s, around 1970, up until 1997. And that's when I first learned how to drive, and I've spent a whole lot of time around these trucks. And so the particular model, like the one shown, is the one that I collect the most of. at the current time, and they're made by the Herpa company out of Germany, or they were. They're not
So you
anymore.
actually learned how to drive that, like
Yes, sir.
meaning before you had a truck driving license, or do you even have a truck driving license,
Well,
or was
if we're
that like
being
on a
technical
farm or
here,
something?
technically it's not for quote unquote commercial use. So I'm not a
Huh.
current CDL holder, but I would dare say that a lot of people drive trucks that don't hold CDLs. If we're being
That's
honest
crazy
here.
because that thing looks like a total diesel truck to me. Like you would need to have that kind of a license. So
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely. The
that's
law
wild.
works in mysterious ways. You know, if you're not doing it for hire, if you're just doing it for farm use or for personal use, then it's sort of like all these yuppies that buy $100,000 RV with air brakes. You know, technically it's heavy enough they should have a CDL, but the law says they don't. So
Yes,
there you go.
that I was just talking to somebody else about that too. I was like, you can get a full size, biggest motorhome ever built, which is the same size as a luxury bus,
Yep.
and they have to have a bus license, but the RV motorhome guy doesn't need to have a special license for that.
Yep. Funny how that works sometimes. Let's see. There was a picture
And
that I
by the
wanted
way,
to.
for everybody watching, he knows how to screen share and show his pictures, so I don't have to, just talk to somebody and have them hold up what they're trying to show. This is an awesome way to show your vehicles.
There is something that is not right. There was a picture that I was trying to show, but it didn't want to let me, so we'll just have to forego that one. But anyway, no big deal. But
Grant
that
you at the
particular,
same time, he's doing it on a computer when most of us are doing it on our phones or laptops. So I don't think, or tablet. So it's not going to work that way unless you have a computer, I don't think. So good for you.
your
What's
mileage
up
may
with
vary.
this picture? So what's going on with this picture?
So this picture, this is what I call the truck that got me back into the hobby. What this Freightliner is it's a truck that I had back when I first started collecting, and I sold it, and I sold my entire collection to a gentleman named Walter, and he has since become a very good friend of mine because I kept his contact info, and a couple of years ago when I decided to come back, I asked him if there were any of my old trucks that he might want to sell back to me if he wasn't using or whatnot. Um, and this is one that he had that I got back from him. So it's sort of sentimental to me. I was foolish enough to let it go the first time, but I got it back, and it's the first truck that I ever put the detail parts on. So it's sort of a first step of many in my modeling career, one might say. But
That's cool.
this is
It,
on the layout of
and
the
it
new
came
build.
that way, like you didn't have to custom build that.
No, sir. That is an old. That model is probably about 30 years old. It would have been put out by Concor, and that is the mirrors and the horns I had to install, but everything else is 100% stock on that one.
You're breaking up right now a lot, so nobody's hearing anything.
Testing, testing.
I hear, I hear you now though.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do not know what is going on. That is. See, I have to
I
use
don't
Zoom
know
to go to
either.
my classes, so it normally never gives me any
Right.
issues. Let's see here.
I don't know. Maybe there's a storm in between you and me. Who knows?
It's possible. It's
So
possible.
we didn't get any of the information from that truck,
Okay.
except for that's the truck that got you back into it.
Okay. Long story short, it's about a 30-year-old model from Concor. The horns and the mirrors are the only detailed parts that model comes with. Everything else is stock. The paintwork, everything, just the molded in details.
Oh, okay. And and what year frame is that truck? Because I remember seeing them in like movies and stuff. I don't know that I've actually seen that in real life.
So this, I would put this about mid 1970s, late 1970s. It's a Freightliner. Um, it has the cab over engine design because the length laws at the time said that trucks couldn't be over, I think, like 60 feet long or whatever.
Oh, no kidding. That's why they did that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I see. I never knew that.
Yep.
That's so interesting.
And
Huh.
then in the 1980s, the late 70s, Jimmy Carter started the process of deregulation, and it went through in 1980. But they deregulated trucking, railroads, and I think part of the banking system. But anyway, they relaxed the length laws, and after that, that design sort of dwindled and fell by the wayside, just because they weren't very comfortable for the drivers with that design.
Especially like just the cab versions where there's like nothing behind you but
Absolutely.
a window, because those things look really uncomfortable.
Yep, absolutely. And they were so short that they rode like a diving board. Just you felt every little bump in the road.
That was
right
probably before they had like air shock seats too.
Yep.
Probably.
Absolutely.
Golly. I mean, it looks like a cool truck, but yeah, I wouldn't want one.
No, I would like to have one simply because cab overs have not really been around since I have been alive. But that's later.
Well, for the nostalgia, yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I mean, they definitely look different compared to what you see today on the road. So it's definitely, worth probably admiring, definitely for that. But I still would want one.
Absolutely. This is a Kenworth. This was something that I bought off of eBay. It's the first truck that I had to do small details on, like the grab handles and whatnot. So that was a learning curve that I had to cross. When I was growing up, I never had any model kits or anything. So to jump straight from having like Hot Wheels and stuff that's ready to go out of the box to having something like this that you have to put together, that was a hurdle that I had to cross, a little roughly, I might say. But
did it come with that bug deflector too?
It did. So this is another Concord model. That's you'll find out that's pretty much my favorite brand. Anything by Promotex or Herpa or any of those. So the only thing that's missing off of this truck are the horns. I didn't have the right tools when I put this truck together, and I messed the horns up. Rookie mistake. But that is a factory bug deflector on that truck.
The only two diesels I ever built were Concords too, because they were cheap.
Yep. They're not so much anymore, but they certainly were when they were new.
Oh, they're not cheap no more?
I don't know. I guess by my standards, used to you could get a tractor trailer for $10 or $15, and now some of the rarest ones I've seen go for $35 or $40. But compared to like a 1/25th scale kit, that's still very affordable.
Right. True. Yeah. No, I think I built probably the same exact kit in completely two different ways, and made one a rat rod and made one like a custom show truck with candy metal flake paint.
Oh, right on. Yeah. I was just sitting here thinking, with all these rat rods and customs that you build, some nice rollbacks or wreckers or car haulers or something would be an excellent.
Well, that's funny you say that, because it's so nice to be able to get up from the phone and not have to take my phone with me, because I have these ear pods in. So here's my rat rod truck.
Oh, nice.
And that's just a crappy, I consider it crappy, as a cheesy, Concord, whatever you want to call this diesel truck. But it's got two sets of V8 engines with blower stacks, the stock grill that I cut short so it can sit on the ground.
Yep.
And then I chopped the top and then cut the cab so it's shorter, and then cut the sleeper to pretty much match. And then the gas tanks are vertical. And then it's got two spare tires in the back in case the fronts get a flat.
Oh, yeah.
That's the rat rod one. And then the very first one I ever built, this was probably 8 years ago. I built this one. And this is based on a real truck. So
really?
This was chopped. It's made for like a lowrider show car truck.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know that's actually made to pull anything, because everything was candy painted and whatnot. But it's metal flake blue with green and yellow flames going all the way down the cab and then all the way down the
I noticed the flames on the frame rail. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Right on.
So these are like the only two diesels. Well, no, I guess I can't say. I guess I really can't say that. Let me just show you what else I built, kind of truck diesel wise. So that's an RPS truck that I slammed, and then it's got a
Okay,
fifth
yeah.
wheel on the back to carry 3 cars. But truck wise, I want to talk about trucks. Um, that's a rollback that I did out of just a. Is it called boiler? Is that how you pronounce it?
I think
Boiler
is it Bowley,
or
maybe?
Boley? A
Boley,
Boley? Yeah, a
possibly.
Boley
Yeah,
cab. And then
right
that's a
on.
Hot Wheels. Or no, it's a Matchbox bed on the back, a
Okay, yeah.
rollback bed. And then that I don't know who makes this car. I have no idea who makes this truck and trailer, but I
I think
lowered
I've
that
got
truck.
I think I've got the exact same one. Is that a I
Yeah,
think that's a Mini Metals by Classic Metal.
probably. So I lowered the cab, and then I shortened the trailer.
Right on.
And then this is just a resin kit. I don't know who made it, but I slammed that thing. And then this whole thing here is from Sylvan. So that's an old cab
Oh,
over
okay,
from
yeah.
the 50s or something. And then I took one of his trailers and I completely cut out everything and made it a clear enclosed trailer to hold a car.
That is
But
awesome.
for like commercial vehicles, that's kind of just what I did. And then I made a
Right.
little hot rod tow truck there. And then there's another tow truck there. I don't know if you can see that at all.
Okay,
Maybe
yeah.
it's too cleared.
Barely, yeah. Right on.
But yeah, I could do commercial. I have no issue doing commercial. I just
Right.
prefer not to do commercial.
Well, I mean, it all just depends on where your interests lie. I would be lost as last year's Easter egg trying to attempt a hot rod. So it just depends on what you're into.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because you know Brian Donato, the guy that does all the snowplow
Oh
trucks.
yeah, yep, snowplows and garbage trucks and stuff.
He built 2 rat rod tow trucks for the first time a couple years ago or 2 years ago, and those are the only rat rods he ever built, and he did a really good job on them, which was amazing.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
So,
he just did it out of a fluke too. He didn't tell
right.
nobody he was gonna do that. He just did them, and he goes, "Hey, what do you think about these?" I said, "Holy cows, man! You should do this more often."
Oh yeah, just a random stroke of inspiration,
Yeah,
Right
they
on.
were great.
Absolutely.
So what's this one?
So this is the first Ford truck that I owned. It took me a little while to find it because I didn't realize how scarce they were becoming these days. But this is the first truck that I ever attempted to customize. I wasn't happy with the black grill, and I knew that from the factory a truck like this would have had a chrome grill. So I went to the local hobby store. Testing. Still got me?
You completely blinked out again.
Yep. I noticed that you weren't. I couldn't see you moving on the camera.
I think it's every time you screen share that the audio just wants to give up.
Well, let's see. See, I ended the share, but I can't see you right now. What in the world?
Audio in the video.
Well, I'll tell you what. That
I
is
think
wild.
every time
Okay.
you screen share, I don't know why that has anything to do with anything, but because the last 3 times you screen shared, it froze and we lost audio. Who knows? Maybe it's the Tennessee-North Carolina border.
It could be.
But
See,
you froze again, and I
Yeah.
still can't hear you now. So
I can't see you either. What in the world?
there you are. I see you now. I see you and I hear you now, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing red bars. I'm not sure if that's my connection to you or yours to me. Not sure. Down in the bottom corner. Anyway, okay. Well,
I mean, you glitched out again and froze. There's got to be some kind of crazy storm going on somewhere in the satellite system that's causing this to happen.
there is something going on.
But
Let me
you
try.
know what? It's not as bad as an interview I did once with John Howard. John Howard couldn't even do a video interview because he lived in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and his cell phone tower was so far away from where he was that his audio was very glitchy, and the video was just like frozen the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
So this is already better than that. So it's not nearly as bad.
Let me try one more thing. It may be pulling a little too much on my network. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my video, and then I'm going to minimize this so that it's not trying to show yours. And then I will try the screen share one more time. And what I may have to do is just hit on the really important stuff instead of going through every little thing if it's going to give us
Yeah. I mean, even if you didn't screen share, it didn't even show anything. I mean, I would say most of the guests don't really show nothing, and most of the
Right.
guests, you know, we just talk. So it's mostly a listen podcast. Honestly.
I got you. Well, I will just hit on the important stuff. Can you see that question mark?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. That truck with the tank.
skipping ahead a little bit, this is the first truck.
But you glitched again. Yeah. This is crazy. This system really doesn't want you to show nothing.
That is too bad.
If you do show it, then it doesn't want you to speak when you do it.
Right? I know what you're saying here. I have one more trick up my sleeve.
That is so weird that it does it. Doesn't make any sense though.
I use this every day for my online classes. Never have any trouble whatsoever.
Yeah, that's wild.
So let's try one more thing.
Maybe it's mad that you're not using it for school and work.
Right? I'm going to join the meeting with my phone and see if I can screen share from my phone while I talk on the computer. Let's give that a shot.
That could probably work. I mean, like I was telling you earlier, I was planning on showing pictures what you put on Facebook through my phone. So
okay, I got you.
I mean, that's essentially like the same thing. Because it's my new way of doing these episodes. I want to kind of, whatever the person's talking about, be able to bring it up from what they posted and just go straight off of Facebook on my laptop and show what they were talking about. But I've only ever done it once, so this was going to be the second time. I might not have to do that though. But even if I do, it's not that big of a deal.
Right. So let me see if this will pull because it's going to attempt to share a photo. Did I lose you? Not moving.
Well, everything right there just froze again, so I didn't hear nothing. This is a wild episode.
This is a challenge.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, and it'll probably be after we're completely done talking and we're exhausted. We just give up, and then we'll be like, "Oh, this is why I was doing it." But while he's, I don't know, man. This is crazy.
Oh man!
When you don't talk, that's when it unfreezes. But when you do talk, it doesn't want to, come up. But anyways, I went to the 187 scale group page, and then I typed in your name in the upper left-hand corner, like I've been telling people to do. And this is all the posts he's posted in the group. So he's got this record, which I could click on, with the American flag, and that's a really neat scene, actually.
Thank you.
That's such a neat idea. I don't know that anybody's ever done that. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Testing. I can hear you.
I think he's talking. The screen shows he's talking.
Can you hear me? Testing.
You're completely broken up, and we can't hear anything you're saying. I can see that you're talking, though. It says you're talking. This is wild.
Testing. Am I here? Are you there?
I don't know. There you are again. I see you and I hear you.
What in the world? It left me in the meeting by myself. For a moment there, it said that you were gone.
Oh, wow. That's dumb.
Okay. Anyway,
We
irregardless,
both of us never left, so I don't know why it said any of that.
I couldn't tell you. Just my dirty rotten luck.
Well, it's both of ours. I don't want to just blame you. Maybe it's these new ear pods I'm using.
Anyway, that truck, that's the first one that I ever built from scratch. The wrecker bed is a resin cast from a very good friend of mine, Mr. Marty Ulig. That is a copy of the Matchbox bed, and he was able to maintain all the functionality. It's an awesome casting.
You broke up again.
You want to just give this another shot sometime?
Yeah,
Maybe,
we
possibly?
might have to. I mean, you're an interesting guy. I definitely want to talk about all your stuff, but I don't know what's happening right now. Stupid, whatever is happening. Because right now I can't even hear anything. I know that you're talking because I can see Zoom telling me you're talking, but we can't hear nothing. Oh, there you are. Yeah, man. This is crazy. I'll tell you what. I'll stop this episode now, and then when we do pick it up, we can pick it up right where we left off.
That sounds like a plan.
Cool. Yeah. So let me stop this. This isn't over, everybody. It's just we're gonna pause this for now, and then we'll pick it up at some time later.